Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. It's 6 p.m. in Douala, 6 p.m. in the far north region, 6 p.m. in Bamenda, and of course, it's 6 p.m. in the nation's political capital where we are broadcasting live. Good evening and thanks for joining us on this first edition of the news for the month of June in the English language. Let's begin with our top stories. The economic cooperation between Cameroon and Congo has been revisited. This was the substance of an audience granted by the head of state Paul Biya to the Congolese Minister of State for Mining, Industry and Geology Pierre Oba. The town of Crise in the Ocean Division will play host to the biggest Mother of Humanity monument aimed at recognizing the memory of ancient slave trade. The United States of America has promised a sum of $100 million geared towards the fight against malaria, HIV and AIDS. This was revealed this Tuesday during an audience at the Ministry of Finance. Those were our top stories. You're welcome back. As you heard in one of our late stories, the head of state, President Paul Biya, has granted audience to the Congolese Minister of Mines, Industry and Geology Pierre Oba at the Unity Palace. Bearing a special message from the Congolese President Denis Sassou Nguesso, the discussion is geared towards discussing the economic cooperation between Brazzaville and Yaoundé. In-depth of this story in the following report. Cameroon and Congo-Brazzaville are not only two good neighbors whose head of state Paul Biya and Denis Sassou Nguesso entertained fraternal relations as eminent members of the CEMAC community. Over the last 10 years, both countries have also been involved in the joint venture of iron ore exploitation across their common borders.
Monsieur Pierre Oba, ministre d'État, ministre des Industries minières et de la Géologie du Congo, envoyé spécial.
It is in this light that the Congolese President Denis Sassou Nguesso dispatched the special envoy to Yaoundé. Upon arrival at the Unity Palace, he was received by instant protocol officials Simplice Atanga and the Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet Samuel Mvondo Ayolo before he met the head of state Paul Biya. The exploitation of these resorts met with some difficulties at the Congolese side. The country has decided to resign its contract with the Australian company, a host concession in both countries. This explains why the envoy Pierre Oba, also Congolese Minister of State for Mining, Industry and Geology, was at the Unity Palace to brief the head of state Paul Biya why his country took the decision. President Paul Biya, who has keen interest in national economy issues, showed some understanding to the Congolese position. It was a happy Congolese Minister of State for Mining and Geology that left the Unity Palace for a close to an hour discussion with the head of state, with a conversion of views with many instructions to enable her intercede for the interest of both countries on economic matters. The 31st edition of the African Child Day, to be celebrated on May 16th, 2021, has been launched at the Yaoundé Town Hall in the nation's political capital. Focus of the year's celebration will be on the protection of African children from violence, exploitation and abuse, as Anne Omeko tells us in this report.
The psychological, physical or sexual torture of African children in Cameroon and the world as a whole is growing every day in its forms and intensity. To commemorate this 31st edition of a conference was held at the Yaoundé Congress Hall as joint efforts with the government to protect the African child.
We, together with our team, as you have seen, which that have been installed, we try to see how we can fight against this violence, most especially the recurrent violence in the school milieu, where students are being killed by their friends and even killing the teachers. The government have seen how they can mobilize the various structures for us to fight against this ill.
They are also assisted by international partners to fight child labor and poverty.
It's this exploitation that makes these children to go into the community to commit crimes. And all this is as a result of poverty. As a result of this, the government is fighting against this poverty. You can see in the agricultural sector where they help the farmers. You can see even in the other areas of businesses, they are there to put structures that take care of these people so that economically they can be independent and take care of their family, and why not take care of the society and the community.
The ceremony brought together human rights actors whose major concern is to protect these children. The theme, protect every African child from violence, exploitation, neglect and abuse, a priority for the government, was provided by the African Union. A call for self-reflection in the face of these green sources which affect the foundation of every society and childhood.
In prelude to the celebration of the International Day of African Child to be celebrated on June 16, 2021, the Ministry of Social Affairs in a meeting at the Yaoundé Town Hall this Tuesday, June 1, focused on the well-being of African children, especially street children. Colette Lum in the following report dwells on street children. Her report.
My color, my black, natural and beautiful. I live and die in black and in brown. Truly, I am an African child.
In prelude to the 31st edition of the International Day of the African Child, came June 16, with focus on the well-being of Cameroonian kids, street children are not left out.
In the case where the children are suffering and they go into the street, we call that street children. And if you can see for yourself, Minas always mobilizes the personnel. They go into the field, they see how they can retrieve all these children from the field that are street children.
Hardship, peers influence, and economic stagnations as a whole, street children in a time when Africa and Cameroon inclusive are planning to give value to the African child cannot be undermined since they are plagued with incessant challenges.
Some of these children, after the social inquiry have been done, some of the children are being placed back to their parents. And those whose parents cannot be identified, we place them in an institution, just like the institution that is in Betamba. And in this institution, most of these children are being taught with some various handworks that can make them to become independent in the future.
However, how well the government attends to street children, parents, as well as the street kids are called upon to do right, make use of what they have if they cannot have what they want.
On to one of our late stories. The Monument of African Mother of Humanity will be constructed in Cameroon. The town of Crise in the Ocean Division in the south region of the country will host the largest monument that represents the memory of victims of slave trade, presenting the situation to the population in Crise. It was done between administrative authorities, representatives of the population, as well as competent authorities in charge of the Mother of Humanity monument. Stephen Elangwe.
The Mother of Humanity. This monument was designed in the United States of America to be implanted in Africa, the continent considered to be the epicenter of the human race. The city of Crise in Cameroon has been carefully selected to be the location for the implantation of the biggest monument to be ever hosted by the African continent, highly related to the honoring of victims of the slavery and slave trade period.
We come from the United States, and we are sure that the commission is on the field, is working to demarcate the plot, and we can assure that all dispositions are taken for the execution of this project.
After visiting the location site for the monument, the pioneers of the project Mother of Humanity presented the project to the representatives of the population in the presence of the senior divisional officer of Crise. Given her central position in Africa, Cameroon was inevitably chosen for this monument, which has a height of 95 meters, surrounded by 54 structures representing all 54 African countries. The final stage of the project is estimated at $200,000, which is about 1 billion CFA francs, thanks to the donations from the pioneers of the project.
Cameroon has joined the international community to observe the 2021 edition of Global Day of Parents, with a call to know the role of parents, especially their responsibilities in the moral and educational life of children. Our reporter Kodelum went finding out in the streets of Yaoundé some of these rules and put together this report.
Global Day of Parents is celebrated on June 1st. A day set aside to appreciate parents across the world. Global Parents Day or Parents Day is an excellent opportunity for children and parents to celebrate the unique bond. Since the 1980s, the United Nations began focusing on the issues related to the family. A resolution was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on September 17, 2012, deciding to proclaim June 1 as a Global Day of Parents. The resolution said the General Assembly invites member states to celebrate the Global Day of Parents in full partnership with civil society, particularly involving young people and children. Regarding the role of parents,
parents must send the children to school. But parents must educate the children at home.
And to some, parents are the backbones of every society, and inculcating the former method of punishing kids should be revisited.
Especially nowadays, parents leave children without giving them education, let's say, without telling them what is good. Because some parents always try to pet children because they want to allow children to do what they want to do. Because in those days we were living, we learned that a child has to be whipped when the child is wrong. But this time around, they say that it's modern war, they don't whip a child.
The growth and success of every nation weighs on the parents.
Still in connection to the Global Day of Parents celebrated this June 1, 2021, concerning their role and responsibilities in the upbringing of a child, Koledlum sought to know some of these responsibilities and roles of parents, went to the streets of Yaoundé and spoke with some of the parents and put their reactions in the following report.
Parent is someone who is responsible of taking care of children and families. That's the rules of parents.
Must educate children about friendship, about respect, about love, about something that children can't study that in school, because parents must ability to see what the children can do. So parents must apply, must study the children about friendship, about respect.
Sometimes they call a parent meeting. You see, teachers are complaining how they want to correct a child. A parent will come to school and be saying that my child have not to be beaten. And those things, I'm feeling annoyed of those things. Why in those days we were growing up? In my village, my elder man in the village can correct a child from any parents. They don't disturb. But now you see a neighbor, just to talk to a child is a problem. So that thing have made children now grow horns.
Cameroon has joined the international community this June 1 to celebrate the International Milk Day with interest to sensitize parents on the importance of milk. It is in this regard that our newsroom took interest to know how breastfeeding is important to newborn babies and when mothers are free to give artificial milk to babies. Ruth Fonyang.
The Ministry of Finance this Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, held an audience on how to step up the business sector in the country. During the meeting, it was revealed that $100 million for youth entrepreneurship will be used to fund 2 health projects.
I'm a grandmother. My daughter delivered through Crise. She had eclampsia. So when she delivered, yes, they put the baby here. I just came because they called me that she was in a difficult situation. Okay. Yeah, yes.
She further gives some of the reasons why the U.S. and some of its private investors have decided to invest in Cameroon.
It is good to give breast milk at least 80%. 80% of breast milk. If you see here, we have an extractor. We extract breast milk since she is not capable of standing, coming to sit and feed the baby. Then we augment. Since you cannot extract the breast continuously, you feed after every 2 hours. So we augment with the artificial milk.
It is worth noting that Cameroon will be the first country in Africa to benefit from this philanthropic action of the U.S. on the condition that the U.S. succeed in their mission.
The Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, this Tuesday has granted audience to the United States Foreign Office represented by Vanel Trim Fitzpatrick, aimed at improving the business dealings in the country. The Special United States Representative says Cameroon has lots of potentials, and she added that the United States will fund the fight against malaria and HIV/AIDS to the tune of $100 million. Ruth Fonyang once more.
The Ministry of Finance this Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, held an audience on how to step up the business sector in the country. During the meeting, it was revealed that $100 million for youth entrepreneurship will be used to fund 2 health projects.
I was telling the minister of planned U.S. investments in Cameroon. We expect to invest about $100 million in just 2 projects, health projects here in Cameroon. One is to help Cameroon fight HIV/AIDS, and the other is to fight malaria. Just as an example, we hope that Cameroon will reach epidemic control of HIV/AIDS in 1 to 2 years from now.
She further gives some of the reasons why the U.S. and some of its private investors have decided to invest in Cameroon.
How we can take steps together to improve the business climate here in Cameroon. You know, there's so much potential here in Cameroon, and so we are always looking for ways to work together to do more to attract the private sector, in this case private investors, business people from the United States, to come to Cameroon and invest in Cameroon.
It is worth noting that Cameroon will be the first country in Africa to benefit from this philanthropic action of the U.S. on the condition that the U.S. succeed in their mission.
And on to this human interest story. Very difficult in that part of the country. The inhabitants of Essos have to travel for a long distance before they can lay their hands on potable water. Our reporter Stephen Elangwe says the inhabitants are calling on the authorities to remedy the situation, for water is life. His report.
Water has become as scarce as gold in the Essos neighborhood in Yaoundé. A deplorable situation worth crying. 7, 8, 9 months without potable water has been a real hell to the population.
6 to 9 months that water is not. It's really since. And what is even disturbing there is that as water is not flowing like that, we are having bills that are coming. Why are bills coming when we are not having water? We don't understand.
The population is sending a loud wail to the authorities concerned to probe into and solve this problem. How will people cope without water?
We usually wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to come and be looking for water, so we are really suffering. When there is no water like that, it's like running to 6 or 9 months that we don't have water here. So we usually go down to Hospital de la Caisse before having water. So
mothers, fathers, and children waking up at 4 a.m. in search of water. A petition was seen by the incessant coming of water bills. An English-speaking Good Samaritan has been saving the population all these months.
So my boss decided to dug the forage. That is why, you see, after that, she told me to be giving water free of charge in a source here. There's a crisis of water here in a source because even us, the time that we opened this now, we have suffered.
Queued up every day for almost a year now. Will the plight of the poor masses reach anywhere? To travel kilometers in a central town in search of water is a hell to the population, and they are quite tired and cannot but cry out for help. When will this end?
If you are just joining us, you're watching the 6 p.m. newscast on Camdi's television in the English language. In sport, the 70th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon has entered the 4th lap today. The lap that took riders from Loum in the littoral region to the land of friendship Limbe in the southwest region of the country was led by a Bulgarian. A special envoy in the caravan is Tabby Clarkson. Good evening to you, Tabby Clarkson, and what is happening now in the land of friendship?
Yes, sir. Bertrand Tita, good evening and welcome to Limbe. We are in the town of friendship where the 4th lap of the 17th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon has just arrived. It is a Bulgarian that has won in the person of Ivanov. Loum Limbe, it was not easy, it was a difficult lap, but then believe me, Cameroonians did their best, and with me, we are having a Cameroonian who actually performed equally well today. They call him Artus. Artus, tell us, it was not an easy lap today.
L'étape d'aujourd'hui n'était pas facile, mais on a géré comme on pouvait. On a géré pour garder au moins les 2 secondes qu'on a.
Welcome. It's true that it has been quite a difficult moments of emotions. We can see from his face. He is the best youth of the competition. Equally, he is in possession of the yellow jersey. But what a lap and what a moment for you. What is your impression today?
It's very incredible because it's a dream for me. I've prepared this competition in the better situation, so now today it's a dream for me. I don't know what to say.
Yes, you don't know what a dream that is coming true. It's true that you are in yellow today. Tomorrow is Douala. What are you promising to those who are watching us at this moment?
I don't know. We see tomorrow after we try to control the race, but after we say how the race that control, and we say the better for get the jersey at Yaoundé.
Thank you, they call him Alexander. He has won this lap, a lap that took us this morning from Loum to Limbe, a distance of 129.9 kilometers. Believe me, Bertrand Tita, it was not an easy lap, but then the young Alexander, he has done it. He is a happy man. We saw him in tears a while ago, tears of joy, tears of happiness, tears to say that tomorrow is another day and tomorrow is a better day. Once again, we say thank you and congratulations.
Yes, very thank you.
Okay, you see, you can imagine the joy that he's having. Over to you, there in studios. We have been, Clarkson, Tabi, Eyong, Montayong, Mansai, and Francis Ebenish from Limbe for Cam 10 Television or Cam this Television.
Thank you very much, Tabi Clarkson and the entire Camdis team who are in the caravan of the 70th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon. On our international page, Ugandan Minister of Transport, his daughter and driver has been shot to death this June 1, 2021. In Nigeria, over 200 school children have been kidnapped by rebels and have taken them to unknown destination in the Niger Delta state. Meanwhile, over 50 people have been killed by rebel attack in the Democratic Republic of Congo between Sunday and Monday. Our reporter Stephen Elangwe has a summary of what has been happening out of the country in this report.
Ugandan Minister of Transport General Katumba Wamala was shot today Tuesday, June 1, early in the morning in what has been termed an assassination attempt in the capital, Kampala. Shot alongside his daughter and driver, who died on the spot, the former military general is battling for his life. Eyewitnesses say the unknown gunmen came on bikes and shot at their vehicle. And over in the Democratic Republic of Congo, some 50 people have been killed between 48 hours. The lives were lost after attacks in Boga and Chabi in the Ituri territory, with death toll at 28 and 22 deaths respectively in each of the villages. Much speculation still surrounds the recent attacks, as some attribute the attacks to the rebels of the Ugandan Allied Democratic Forces. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, gunmen have kidnapped some unknown number of children in an Islamic school in central Nigeria, which has been called a mass abduction by the state. State police spokesperson Wasiu Abdudun said the attackers arrived on bikes and started shooting indiscriminately, killing one resident before kidnapping the children from the Salihu Tanko Islamic School. An official of the school said between 100 or more students were taken. An official of the school has confirmed that more than 100 students from the school were kidnapped. Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, has been victim of several abduction attacks within the past weeks.
That international report takes us to the end of this edition of the news. But before we part companies, a reminder of our major stories. The economic cooperation between Cameroon and Congo has been revisited. This was the substance of the audience granted by the head of state, Paul Biya, to the Congolese Minister of State for Mining, Industry and Geology, Pierre Oba. The town of Crise in the Ocean Division will play host to the biggest Mother of Humanity monument aimed at recognizing the memory of ancient slave trade. Meanwhile, the United States of America has approved the sum of $100 million geared towards the fight against malaria and HIV/AIDS. This was revealed this Tuesday during an audience at the Ministry of Finance. It is here that the curtain draws for this first edition of the news for the month of June. Meet Desiree Trezon-Bonnet at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. I will be with you tomorrow at 6 p.m. for another edition of the news in the English language. But before then, do have a wonderful evening in the company of our programs. Goodbye for now.